Hi and welcome to today's live chapter reading of Turning Wheels by Manda Mellett, courtesy of Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Prologue. 18 months ago. Sophie. Walking into the typical English pub in Guildford, I spy my friend hovering by the entrance and have my greeting ready as I approach her. Hey girlfriend! At my voice, Zoe turns round and pulls me in for a hug and a kiss. I lean over at the same time as she turns her head and accidentally end up giving a smacker on the lips. Of course, I make the most of it. My face splits into a wide grin as she slaps me lightly on the arm. Carry on like that and they're going to think we're a couple of lessies, she warns me. I make a show of pulling away, and as I do, glance around to see if there are any likely looking males in the vicinity that could have been turned off, or alternatively on, at our little show. Zoe barks a laugh at me, and then together we go to the bar and order a round of drinks. While waiting to be served, I start regaling her with all I've been up to. The only time I pause is to nod briefly at the bartender and give my choice of vodka and coke. By the time we're sitting at a table in the corner where we can gossip to our heart's delight, her mouth had already fall open. Both of them? Together? I smirk at her. Well, a girl's got to live her life to the fullest, hasn't she? While she's rendered speechless, the smile slowly fades from my face. Not even my best friend Zoe knows there is a reason why it seems my goal in life is to collect as many varied sexual experiences as I'm able to. Forcing painful memories of the rightful place at the very back of my mind, I give her a light rap on the hand to get her attention. So what's up with you, bitch? About time you got laid, isn't it? How long's it been now? Zoe and I have a long friendship going back to our uni days when we shared a flat together. Living a fair distance apart, our contact nowadays is limited to these girls' nights out on every other Friday, which tended to follow the same pattern. Each time we met, I would entertain her with my long list of conquests while she sits back and listens. She encourages me, seemingly to enjoy living my exploits vicariously. As far as I know, it's been an awfully long time since her last sexual encounter with anything that wasn't battery operated. And even that, like the others before it, hadn't been anything to write home about. Tonight starts off following the same pattern, but for once she has something to say. She surprises me when she drops it in there, her voice animated. Guess who I'm working for? I shrug, as obviously it was impossible for me to answer without her explaining, and she continues excitedly. Ethan bloody St. John Davies. What? I know of the name. Well, who doesn't? He's like one of the richest men in the country, Zoe. Quickly I flash my eyes towards her, showing she's caught my interest, and grab my phone out of my bag. Go on, tell me more. I encourage while gazing intently at the screen, fingers one of the hands flying over the keys, but waving the other to show I'm still interested. I'm working on a project to renovate a 16th century walled garden on a massive estate. His estate. Zoe gestures towards the picture of the handsome looking man who's appeared on my phone. I stare at the image of a handsome enough looking man. Enough to spark my interest. I could so do that. Wow, just look at him. And look at that house behind him. It's a fucking mansion. Is that where you're working? Do you need an assistant? When she tells me she'd been introduced to him, my mouth drops open. You actually bloody met him. What's he like? Gorgeous. She taps her finger on my phone. In his case, the camera doesn't lie. And it certainly doesn't show you his rather tight backside. Soph, his glutes are something else. Now my mouth hangs open. I'm surprised you noticed, Zoe. Go you. I zone out when she goes into detail, and my eyes narrow as she deviates from what interests me most. Hey, babe, get back to the good stuff. Okay, so he introduces me. I got that part, babe. Now get to the fucking part. Her drink almost shoots out of her mouth as she plutters. What the heck? She gives me a long stare and I return a rueful smile. So, she ignores my interruption. He introduced himself in this really upper class, cultured voice, pronouncing his name as Ethan St. John Davies. I tilt my head to one side. So what happened next? Nothing, Soph. He went his way, I went mine, she tells me honestly. To tell you the truth, we've been working on the site for a month now, And that's the first and only time I've seen him. I doubt I'll see him again. She points to my empty glass. Another. 17 months ago. When her next night out comes around, Zoe is so eager to see me that she's arrived early. I immediately see she has something to tell me, and she's almost bouncing in her seat with excitement, impatient to share. She's terrible at keeping secrets, so when I slide up the bench next to her in her regular booth, I throw her a sharp look. Well, you've either got fucked or fucked up, I announce as I take a sip of the vodka and coke she'd already bought for me, grinning wildly. Spill. Snorting, she almost spits out her mouthful of wine, and a short laugh bursts out of her dry goodness. Taking a tissue out of her bag, she blots it over her lips to dry them. Come on, which is it? I look at her carefully. Or have you just been playing too hard with your B.O.B.? Sophie! Admonishing me, she quickly glances around to make sure no one heard my reference to her vibrator. She then puts me out of my misery. Ethan St. John Davies has asked me out on a date. My gasp is loud. He's fucking what? Shush! She chides me again, noticing heads turn at my exclamation. Calm down a bit and I'll tell you what happened. Well, fucking come on then, don't leave me hanging. My eyes were wide open. I didn't see that coming. Grinning, happy and pleased with herself, she tells me about her meeting with the millionaire. I laugh my head off as I picture it. You fell at his fucking feet. Way to go, Zoe. What happened next? He held me up, and then in a roundabout way she tells me how he came to ask her to have dinner with him. My mouth drops open. I'm both impressed and pleased for her. Fucking hell, Zoe. When you get back on that horse you do it properly, don't you? You've landed yourself a fucking thoroughbred stallion. 15 months ago. Tonight I beat Zoe to the pub and lined us up with a couple of shots. It seems ages since I've seen her. As soon as she was within hearing distance I yell out, How's it going with Loverboy? She comes over laughing. Oh, Sophie, he's gorgeous. He's so gentle and kind. I've moved in with him. I live in a fucking mansion now, servants and everything. I don't have to clean, cook, or even do my own laundry. It isn't often she's able to shock me. Blimey, that was quick. So what's the catch? No catch, she giggles. He's amazing. So generous, so attentive and caring. He does everything he can to make me happy. What? My face creases. I'm incredulous, but over the moon for my friend that she's at last found a good man for herself. Shit, you've hit the bloody jackpot, babes. Then I think about it and my eyes narrow suspiciously. It's moving a bit fast, isn't it? You're actually living with him. Have you given up your place? She nods her head and grins. Yes, I've terminated the lease. Let's face it, it was a crap place in anyone's eyes, and Ethan persuaded me to let it go. It feels right, Sophie girl. He spoils me something rotten, and I want for nothing. So what's he like to fuck? Must be good if you move straight in. Tell me you did the deed before you committed. You can't live with someone without putting them through his paces first. What's his dick like? Large? Medium? Does he know what to do with it? Wait a fucking minute. Don't tell me it's tiny. You're living the life of Riley. There has to be a snack somewhere. Still, I suppose if he's got the money, the size of his prick probably isn't so important, as long as he can use his hands and mouth. Does his tongue compensate? Sophie! She covers her mouth to stop her short giggles escaping. Why is it all you can think about is sex? Hey, Zoe, bless you. You're beautiful, but sex is what makes the world go round. But if you're telling me he's got a big dick, then go you. You've won the fucking lottery. I am not discussing the size of his appendage with you, she tells me primly. I try to hurry her up. Come on, spill the beans. I should have been glad that my friend has fallen on her feet, but the things she tells me make warning bells ring in my mind. What have you got yourself into, Zoe? But there'll be no telling her, so I don't even try. And in truth, maybe my worries are all in my mind and say more about me than her. I won't ever be committing myself to one man. Why should I when there's a whole world full of them to explore? 14 months ago. Something was up with Zoe tonight. She keeps shifting awkwardly in her seat and comes up with some lame excuse about why she keeps missing our Friday nights together. She also evades the question when I ask whether I can visit her in that fucking mansion, which is now her home. Her eyes keep flicking shiftily away and eventually she changes the subject, turning it back by asking me, "How's you?" "Same old fucking same old," I grin. "Hey, you ought to have seen the fella I met last week. He was an electrician doing some wiring at work. Well, we got chatting and one thing led to another. Let's just say I'll never look at the broom cupboard again in the same way." "Soph, you didn't. Not even you would do that." She covers her mouth but is unable to suppress her snort of laughter. "I fucking did. I couldn't walk straight the rest of the day." My grin widens. Another thing crossed off my bucket list. Now, what's going on with you and Ethan? I'm not joking about that visit. I'd love to see how the other half live. "Didn't anyone see you?" "No, and don't change the subject. How's that man of yours treating my bestie?" Unusually for us, the conversation lags, and it deepens my suspicions that she's not living the perfect life she's describing. For once, the atmosphere is awkward between us, but I try to get her to talk. She just turns the topic back on me. Oh, I'm happy enough to tell her about the guy from the solicitors I bagged when I dropped some documents off at his office. But could I get information about her? No way. 6 months ago. Zoe had cut off all contact with me, but I hadn't a clue why. I tried phoning her, but it seemed she'd changed her number. I even tried calling Ethan's mansion, but was told Zoe didn't want to talk to me, and I was told in no uncertain circumstances that I shouldn't try to get in touch again. At first I was hurt, then puzzled, and worried about my friend. Finally I shrugged it off. She knew where I was if she needed me. Then, out of the blue, there was a knock at my door. "Zoe!" My pleasure at seeing my friend was quickly chased away by my concern when I saw the bruises on her face and the hunched way she was walking. It wasn't hard to see she was in a lot of pain. "Oh my God, Zoe, what the fuck?" She put her hand on the doorframe, leaning for support. "I've left Ethan, Soph. I'm going to my mother's in France, but I don't have any money." "Hey, come in. I've got some I'll give you." I ushered her inside and sat her down. "Do you want a coffee or anything?" I was over the moon she'd come to her senses about Ethan. I'd always suspected there was something off about the man. He'd been hurting her. The bastard. Declining my offer, she shook her head. "No, I just want to get away." It seemed like every word was an effort for her. The stress of leaving the man who'd been her world for almost a year had got to her. I didn't press for details. That first look at her face told me all I needed to know, and there was no thought in my mind but that I was there to help her. Not too far away from my house was a garage with a convenient ATM. So with no hesitation, I grabbed my keys and jumped in my car to go and get all my available money out. Returning as fast as I could, I gave her everything I had, enough of her journey and a little on top to keep her going. She burst into tears as she thanked me, and we clung together like the best friends we'd always been. She gave me her new number and promised to let me know when she was safe with her mum. Then, after an emotional goodbye, she was gone. I watched as she drove down the road until the car disappeared into the distance. I'd never see her again. She'd never call me, but I knew she didn't make it to France. And the very next day, my life was shattered.